We are now live on YouTube. I'm also going to start recording this to the cloud. Oh, a Sarda hat.
Oh, a Sarda hat. Boy, excellent. Now there's a collector's item. I don't have anything like that.
What's Sarda hat?
Woo.
All right, I'm going to go present. And now we're going to go into starting the conversation. So people will continue to come in because it's an open meeting at this point, but I'm going to get us started with our virtual CleanStarts to-dos today. All right, so starting off, I want to welcome Ryan Barr. He's the CEO of RePurpose Energy.
COO.
Talking with us at COO. Yeah. And I want to kind of go over agreements for an effective meeting space. Remember, be available on your mic, pay attention to whether you're muted or unmuted. Be mindful of your airtime and let people know when you're complete or done speaking. Now, if you're curious about these, I'm going to share these in the chat right now. So if you copy and paste this link into your browser, you will be able to follow along with these slides. And on your Zoom controls, the chat should be flashing because of that. So please make sure to pay attention to these Zoom controls. If you have a question, I'll do my best to watch the Zoom chat if you want to put a question in there and don't want to interrupt. Additionally, you can also raise your hand. I'll be watching that as well. And if you want to follow these links, you can go check out all the Zoom controls or all the cool things Zoom has to offer. Now, I want to thank our sponsors, Blue Tech Valley, Sac State, SMUD, and Weintraub Tobin. These are our supporters of the Clean Tech meetups, which are on hiatus right now because of social distancing. And they enable us to put on these great events where we're able to make content and connect people. And if you really like them, I want to ask, please support CleanStart. Follow this link and consider donating to CleanStart. We're a 501c3, a nonprofit that doesn't charge entrepreneurs for any of the services that we provide. So please support us. And now I have a big announcement that I want everyone here to hear is today at 10 a.m., CEC and New Energy Nexus is having Weathering the COVID Crisis, Reflections and Resources for the clean tech community. I'm going to quickly go to this page so that everyone can see it, see what it is. So CEC chairs and vice chair, David Hochschild and Janae Scott, along with New Energy Nexus CEO, Danny Kennedy, who's, I think, a very, very good speaker. Janae Scott, you might remember her from our ConX Investor Night last year. And David Hochschild spoke at the Clean Tech Showcase late last year in October. So go here, try to register in advance and go and learn about what they're doing. All right, and then our kind of community announcements. The Hacker Lab has free programs if you want to learn. Sac State Entrepreneurship Toolkit. The last one's this Wednesday evening. Go and register for that. It's a great customer discovery learning event. I have NorCal SBDC here because as many of us know, a lot of the payroll protection loans and other loans to protect companies against the COVID economic impact ran out last week. However, for the past 2 days, I've been here. They've been moving a bill through to expand those and provide more support for small companies. So you're going to really want to make sure that you talk to your bank or any bank that you've been working with, if you have been and didn't get qualified, and pay attention to the SBDC, because while they're going to be expanding these loans, the odds are they are going to be different somewhat. The other thing that I want to mention is we have our CleanStart to-dos, which you can follow here. Our next CleanStart to-do is with Mike Bell, CEO of Symbio, Friday at 9 a.m. They're a small manufacturer in the area, an engineering firm. It would be a great one if you're an engineer or if you're a startup and you want to figure out how do I connect with this network of engineers in the Sacramento area. Mike Bell is also connected very heavily with the Sacramento Sacramento Valley Manufacturers Initiative, SVMI, and SME, which is an acronym that is about quality engineering that I can't recall. And always make sure you come to our Clean Tech meetup, April 30th with Ag Start, 1 million cups, 9 a.m. It's always exciting. And check out some of these other links here. And also at this point, I kind of want, because I rushed through that, does anyone have any questions or comments? All right. And as always, newsletter sign up for CleanStart. That's where you're going to hear about all the CEC, clean energy, entrepreneurship, things that we do and share. And also sign up for Startup Sack and Startup Digest. That's put on by Startup Sack, Laura Good, who's in here with the great Startup hat. It's a great way to stay on top and connected with the community, because the number one thing that you need to do if you're in entrepreneurship is connect with people. Also have a product that you can sell. And without further ado, I am going to welcome Ryan Barr, and I'm actually going to hand over the controls to him so he can, because he has a couple slides. Ryan, you ready for that responsibility?
Sure, sounds good. Thanks, Thomas.
And as we always wear funny hats because it's close to Earth Day, I'm wearing a giraffe because I have a long neck.
What are you wearing, Ryan?
This is one of the caps my girlfriend wears. She's an emergency department nurse.
Oh!
Healthcare workers are wearing these to keep coronavirus out of their hair. So this is my way of covering up my horrendous mop of hair, but also to pay tribute to our essential healthcare workers.
Very appropriate. That's fantastic. So, I mean, you've talked in front of a meetup crowd. I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with RePurpose. So we're really anxious to hear any update you can give us. And I think you had been doing some fundraising. So take it away, Ryan.
All right. I have control. Okay. First of all, like Thomas said, I'm Ryan Barr. I'm one of the co-founders and the chief operating officer of RePurpose Energy. I'm also a PhD student in the energy systems program at UC Davis. And so I'm excited to provide some updates, but I'll start with just a little bit of context on what we do for those that aren't familiar already. Just 1 or 2 minutes on that. So our mission at RePurpose Energy is to reuse batteries from electric vehicles to store solar energy for use after sunset. In other words, we're turning battery waste from electric vehicles into lower cost, more sustainable energy storage systems for the solar industry. There's a little bit of delay here, so bear with me. And as I mentioned, our basic value proposition, more sustainable, more affordable energy storage. So I say we're more sustainable because we extend the lifetime of existing electric vehicle batteries. But importantly, we also mitigate wasteful greenhouse gas emissions and precious metal mining for the production of new batteries, which are increasingly used to store solar energy. So that's a little bit on us. And before we get into any to-dos, a little bit of an update on RePurpose Energy. So we were very fortunate in that, like you mentioned, Gary, we were able to raise some capital about 2 weeks prior to all the economic shutdowns, and we hadn't started spending that capital in earnest. We didn't really incur a lot of fixed costs. So that was very good timing, if there is such a thing in this context. Much of our work can be done remotely, so we're still making progress. Obviously, there is a heavy hardware component to what we do, so those lab activities are on hold, but we're shifting our focus to what we can do in this remote work context. So we're finally updating our website, for example. We're doing some deep reading to improve our product, deep writing to apply for new funding and new project opportunities. We're taking steps to protect our intellectual property, and we're planning our next project, which is really exciting. It'll be bigger and better than the existing demonstration that we have at the winery on the UC Davis campus. It'll be at a food cooperative in Northern California, and there we'll install a massive battery system to store their solar energy, offer them electricity bill savings, and also provide them backup power, since they've been very affected by all the PSPS events in the fall of 2019. So that's a little bit on what's been going on with us.
So I sent that article to you on your Australian mirror image, who's working with repurposed batteries down there. And you said you have been in contact with them. Tell us a little bit about, what your discussions have been with them, because that was very interesting to have two people so very similar.
Mm-hmm. So they're taking a similar but slightly different approach. Basically, they are trying to remove all need for battery testing. So they're trying to enable anyone to take used Nissan Leaf batteries, for example, and plug them all in to this system using the company's called Reelectrify. So plug them all into Reelectrify's battery management system and use that as an energy storage system. We focus instead on battery testing. So we try to bring the time required to test a used electric vehicle battery and get a strong sense for its remaining energy storage capacity, its remaining useful life. We do that in about 1 minute as opposed to 5 hours or so, like it typically takes. And so we want to use only the healthy batteries. We want to match compatible batteries with each other, whereas they try to use all batteries, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, that really does emphasize your difference in the marketplace. And it's impressive. You've gotten it down to, on the order of a minute compared to where things started out. So congratulations on that advance. And then you had been looking at the possibility of batteries other than the Nissan Leaf battery. Made any progress on getting used batteries from the GM vehicles or others?
Yeah, we've played with steady volt batteries as well, some GM batteries. We've had discussions with Hyundai and Honda, but we remain focused on the Nissan Leaf for the short term. We need to be really strategic about how and when we expand our intake, if you will, because we need to modify our testing algorithms, modify our energy storage system designs. We don't want to be combining different battery types in one system. So we definitely have those conversations started, and we're building all of these future intake streams into our product roadmap. But right now we're focused on Nissan and to some extent GM batteries.
So tell us about being a PhD student in these times. Doctoral students often have a lot of flexibility in coursework versus self-study. Now that's taken it over to the max. And how's that going for you and your colleagues in the PhD program operating under these COVID conditions?
Well, I sympathize with them for still taking classes. I've been done with classes for a year and a half or so at this point. So I'm focused on my research, which is basically being focused on repurpose energy. They're very closely aligned, those efforts. So I know we're all coping in part thanks to this student energy group that we've set up. It's sort of a club, you could say, and I want to point people towards that organization and this venue too. So they're having a webinar tonight, I think it's at 7 p.m. with some UC Davis researchers on how Uber and Lyft are cleaning up their fleets due to the new Clean Mile standard. So that group hosts weekly webinars on Tuesday nights. So if you're interested in that, we can share a link or
Yeah,
I'll
tell
just say-
us a bit more about that. It's probably in your to-do list.
Yeah, you can, the link's a bit long, so maybe I'll just throw it in the chat. But a couple friends of mine organized that to basically bring students from all programs on campus with an interest in the energy transition into one venue, basically to share ideas and to hear presentations. So they were planning a big symposium in May. Obviously that has been postponed, but instead they're having all those speakers online for a Tuesday night webinar series. So I encourage people to check that out.
Yeah, so be sure you do put that up on the chat. I think people will want to follow up on it. And so before we get to other to-dos, let's see if anybody else has any questions for you. Laura, I think you had Ryan present at 1 million cups, so you're fairly familiar. Are there any questions or comments you have for Ryan?
Let's see. So you've raised some money. Do you still have is your funding round still open?
We've closed that round. So we raised some seed capital from a corporate strategic investor, a steel company, actually. And we've closed that round because we have the capital we need, along with some other grant funding sources that are coming in to hit our milestones for our Series A. So,
so how much runway does
I'm
that
grateful
give
for
you?
that. Probably
How much runway?
Probably about 18 months.
Uh-huh. And any big new customer projects?
So I mentioned one project we're planning it's called the Briar Patch Food Cooperative in Grass Valley. So we're installing a system that's about 4 times the size of our existing demonstration there.
Wow.
With new capabilities, so we can provide them not only bill savings, but backup power as well. So they can have over 24 hours of power from their solar and battery system during these PSPS outages.
I've got a question for you. So if anyone has seen the RePurpose Energy boxes or equipment that they made, a lot of it was 3D printed. And my understanding is you guys are looking at doing, I guess, a different engineering approach to manufacturing those. How has that experience been going from 3D printing to working with other manufacturing techniques?
So like you mentioned, we have 3D printed a few of our components, specifically those that we use to attach our battery management system to the batteries, just because we're demanding these components in such small volumes. So it's really pretty extraordinary that 3D printing allows access to these custom components at very small volumes. And we're continuing to do that to some extent, just to eliminate the need to try and go source components in batches of 10, 20. So that is still part of our product development process.
Okay.
Yeah, Ryan, you're probably aware because we mentioned Mike Bell, but Mike's doing a good job of trying to put together a roadmap of the ecosystem for small volume manufacturing and prototype type manufacturing in the Sacramento area, and getting people, to take the first few steps into manufacturing. So he's got some interesting resources when you're at the stage of trying to find some initial manufacturing to offer to repurpose. So hopefully you and Mike Bell, I don't know whether you have connected, but you should connect in the future.
We have not connected. Sooner than later.
Yeah, that's good. Other questions? Your colleague Ben has joined. Al has joined. Al, you're probably familiar with Ryan and RePurpose. They've got a new project going on They're going to install one that's 2 or 3 times the size they have on the UC Davis campus up in Grass Valley. Have you looked at RePurpose and their synergy with the solar business you have in terms of using it to store solar energy, Al?
No, I haven't, but I'm excited about it. And that's why I'm on this. Sorry, I've been dealing with government paperwork.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a common thing these days.
Yeah, but anyway, no, I'm very interested and I'd love to know the parallels and learn more about it. And I'll certainly go on the website and take a closer look and hopefully communicate with Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, it's ACR Solar. I think Ryan's email address is Ryan at repurposeenergy. What is it?
Repurpose.
I'll put it in chat. That's close.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, make that connection. Al has been installing solar equipment in the Sacramento area for decades. So there are a lot of sites and probably a lot of advice he could give you.
And we're going to go on to the to-dos, but before we do that, I wanted to share the rendering so if people can kind of see what
Cool.
one of these energy banks they have looks like. Each one of those is a used Nissan Leaf battery that is put into these battery packs.
So this is one of the smallest systems we've designed. The one at the food cooperative will be about 40 times this rendering. This is an example of what might be installed at a very small commercial building, a mom and pop store, if they were interested in only electricity bill savings and not a significant amount of backup power.
And
this
here's
photo
one that's
here is-
operating, right?
Yeah, that's a shot of the outside of the existing demonstration system that's been up and running at the winery on campus for the last 15 months or so.
Okay. All right. All right. So Brian, share with us things you think people should be doing or to-dos.
Well, for myself at least, some things on my to-do list are first to express gratitude to essential workers. We talked about healthcare workers. They're a good example. I can tell you, based on, again, my girlfriend's experience, the emergency department nurse, every thank you note, every care package, every text even is helpful. I think some other good examples are grocery employees and delivery workers. This whole crisis is really calling my attention to how essential and underappreciated they are. I'm also interested in planning to express gratitude to everyone that's enabled all of our progress so far. And that includes CleanStart, for example. They've supported us all along. Gary, you in particular, guided us through this really intensive customer discovery process with the National Science Foundation. So I'm grateful for that. This to-do starts with you all today. Startup SAC is another good example. We've really appreciated their support. So in addition to expressing gratitude, I just am trying to maintain some structure in my work life, in particular during this really novel and challenging time. So creating a dedicated workspace, scheduling my priorities. I won't spend too much time on this stuff since we're getting close to the end here. But by scheduling priorities, I mean not just meetings and not just work objectives that I have, but also time for self-care and for family and friends. I think that's important to stay happy and stay productive in this time as well. And in using habits, I'd point people towards a book I found really interesting and helpful recently. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I can send you a copy of my audiobook for free. It's a cool new Audible feature. So I'll leave it at that for now, unless there are questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Ryan, for sharing your to-dos and also your experience at RePurpose Energy. I'm really excited to see about where you guys go in the future. With that, I want to kind of open it up to everyone else, but do some quick thank yous. I'll put a I'll put a link to these slides again in the chat. Here I've got, let me quickly actually update this because I updated it. So there is now a link to the energy chapter in these slides. Also at 10 o'clock today, I encourage everyone to go and sign up if they're curious about how the CEC and the energy economy is weathering the COVID crisis. Sign up for the CEC New Energy Nexus event. Next week or later this week, Friday at 9 a.m., we'll have Mike Bell, CEO of Symbio. Check out Symbio Technologies and what they're doing. We also have our green tech meetup. I know I called it the clean tech meetup before, but it's the green tech meetup because we're doing it with our sister organization, AgStart. It'll have Sierra Energy, Springboard Biodiesel, which they take waste oil from like fryers and stuff like that and turn it into diesel that cars can run on. And also the College of Engineering and Computer Science talking about their biodigester. Additionally, I think Michelle Wong will be joining us. Gary, do you know her you know more about her background?
Yeah, I mean, long time associated with UC Davis, but has been out forming other ventures through Clean World Partners. They've installed digesters many places around the Sacramento area. Currently, she's working on installing them in 2 locations in Southern California, and she'll bring us up to speed on that at the Green Tech meetup.
So make sure that you register and come to that. Also, we've been making videos and content and also and also putting out blogs. As everyone knows, Earth Day is coming up, and we had a blog that Gary wrote years ago about how Earth Day inspired him down his current career and how he made the decision to go to UC Davis based on a lot of what he was seeing at Earth Day. I think it's a really good article, a really good blog. It's one of the first ones that we put out a couple of years ago. I'm going to put the link here if you guys want to go and read it. It's exciting, and I'm really happy about the videos that we've been putting out. Check out our YouTube channel. See what we've been doing. You can see we're going live right now. And remember to support CleanStart, just like our additional program sponsors, EY, Stoll Reeves, Moss Adams. We've got Mark Humbert from Moss Adams here on the line with us. Also, Hacker Lab is where we like to call ourselves home when we're not doing social distancing. And our community of partners that reaches from AgStart to ChicoStart, from Tech Futures Group to New Energy Nexus, from Startup SAC to Startup Grind. And with that, I'd open up if anyone has any questions they want to ask or comments that they'd like to make.
Well, tell everybody to join us for these things. And we do advertise them in advance, so you should know when they are. Tuesday mornings, Thursday afternoons. We're having one, as Thomas has said, Friday morning this week, but we're trying to keep building the clean tech ecosystem and connections, offer resources to people. So it's helping that we record these and people are watching them after the fact, but it's always good to have a live crew here. I should also mention that our 2020 version of our CEO crash course is coming up. It'll be in the month of June, done over video conference. It'll probably be 9 sessions during the month of June, twice weekly in general. So watch for promotion on that and pass that information along to anybody you think in the early stages of forming a business could benefit from participating in our CEO crash course for Clean Tech Ventures. With that, I think we're done. Unless anybody has any further comments, we hope to see you with Mike Bell on Friday, and keep looking for future episodes of this journey we're all taking online.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
for the
You have a great
invitation.
day.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Ryan, so much. It's good to hear from you.
Likewise.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.